be pretty late out there.
Sorry, Anirudh, I lost you a little bit.
No, I was saying we have someone from Japan, which is pretty cool. I feel like must be what, 9:30? Let me just see Japan time. Yeah, 11:35. Wow. Thank you for joining. It's a Saturday.
Yes. Okay, great. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. And if you're watching us on our social platforms, a warm hello to you. Please drop a comment, tell us where you're joining us from. We see you and we're very, very glad to have you here. Okay, so let's get started. Welcome everyone to today's session, Career Lessons from Founders Who Skip the Traditional Path. I'm genuinely very, very excited about this one because we have two genuinely fascinating guests who have done exactly that, skipped the traditional path and built something remarkable on their own terms. So it's going to be a great session. Please do stay tuned. A quick introduction. My name is Ananya and I will be hosting the session on behalf of Simplilearn. Let me just quickly read out from some introductions. Okay, we have Prakash joining us from Japan, Sham from Delhi. Hi, Sham. Hi, Sandal from Pune. Hi, Sharon, you're joining us from Germany. Hi, Aradhya. Hi, there's someone from Jaipur, Barsa from India. Okay, Nigeria, Bhumi from Karnataka. Great. Okay, it's lovely to have such a lively bunch of audiences here. I'm sure that more of you will be joining in as we go further. So please do keep dropping your introductions as you join us. Before we begin, a couple of very, very quick ground rules that we request everyone to follow. Number one, please drop any questions that you have in the Q&A box and not in the chat box. We keep getting a lot of messages in the chat box, like as you can see already. So we might end up missing yours. So please use the Q&A box effectively. And please do give us some time to get back to you with an answer. Do not keep posting repeat questions, as we're going to try to address all your queries. Secondly, avoid sharing any external links or personal details in the chat box and keep conversations only relevant to the topic. We'll be strictly monitoring this and removing any irrelevant messages. And finally, for those who participate in the session till the end and give us your full name in the poll that we will be launching at the end of the webinar, we will provide an attendance certificate that you can share on your social media, at your LinkedIn, at your resume even. So yes, please do stay tuned till the end. A very quick introduction about Simplilearn and what we do before we get on to the main segments. We provide certifications in career-aligned learning paths in various categories like AI, ML, Gen AI, data science, project management, business analytics, leadership, and a lot more. We have helped 8 million plus people in their career growth across 150 plus countries with more than 50 partnerships. And speaking of partnerships, you can see the learning ecosystem that we've built over the years. These are the institutions and companies helping us co-create and deliver programs that are genuinely relevant to the market. These programs are not just academically sound, but also professionally useful. But beyond this, what we're really proud of is how our programs have impacted our learners. We have more than 80% graduation rate, with learners rating our programs 4.8 on 5 and reporting a 50% salary hike. This shows the kind of learning experience and dedicated guidance that we've been able to provide to millions. We'll come back to our programs a bit more in detail later. So let's get into today's session. Okay. Most of us grew up with a very clear picture of what a good career looks like. Study hard, get a degree, land a job, climb the ladder. That's how it goes. It was almost handed to us as the one true path. But here's the thing, that true path might be quietly, disintegrating, might be falling apart. And in this segment, we're going to look at exactly why. So the numbers here are pretty striking. Entry-level job postings are down 29% since January 2024. New grad tech hires at big tech companies are down 50% compared to pre-pandemic levels. And for the first time since the pandemic, there are actually fewer job openings than people looking for work, a ratio of 0.98 to 1. So the traditional path is getting harder and narrower. So this is what we're going to talk about in the coming segments. And okay, so this is something that I'm really excited about. Later in this webinar, we are going to do a live career audit one person from the audience will have their actual career path reframed in real time by our panel. So if you want to be that person, drop your career story in the Q&A box right now. Tell us what path you're on, what decision you would make differently, and what a non-traditional version of your career might look like. Just to give an example, maybe I am a content marketer with 10 plus years of experience. I aspire to have a restaurant of my own someday, and I wish I had taken, say, proper culinary training by this time now. So maybe that example gives you an idea. Take your time, let us know your journey in the Q&A box, how far you've come and where you want to go. We will pick one to work through live with our guests towards the end of the webinar. This is a great opportunity to get personalized guidance from our experts, so don't miss it. Okay, so let's meet the people behind today's conversation. This segment is about the founders themselves, two builders who didn't follow the traditional path like we mentioned before. One went from marketing and life skills to AI. The other went from running an emergency department to building AI products. Both of them took some unconventional paths, and both of them are here to tell us what they have learned along the way. Okay, first we have Anirudh Narayan. Anirudh is the co-founder and CGO of Lyzr and the founder of Everything AI. He's a serial founder, if I can call it that way, who's built companies across multiple industries from um, performance marketing with growth pattern to life skills and master life to AI. He's into AI full time now. He's lived and worked across South America, Southeast Asia, Africa, the US, and Europe. He's an author of Scale Smart, an Olympic triathlete, and he summited a 20,000 foot peak. When I say non-linear, I think Anirudh's bio defines non-linear. Anirudh, welcome. Really, really glad to have you here. Your bio, reads like three different people's lives almost. So how do you explain your career to someone who asks what you do?
I mean, first of all, thank you for having me, and I guarantee you, I didn't force anyone at Simplilearn to give me this intro. So thank you for that. uh, but cool, yeah, Tim. I think we connected earlier, so it's good to see you as well. And yeah, I mean, I wish I could give you like, hey, here's the exact recipe on. I mean, I did my undergrad in biotech, and then I mean, I see also Tim's background. He's done a lot in the medical side, right? But clearly both of us have gravitated towards AI. So I feel like wherever the market is hot, where the tide is high, I think a lot of it's about market timing. It's about the right team. It's right about the right value you're creating, and then you jump into that. So, and I think it has to marry maybe your strengths. I think it took a while for me to actually figure out what my strengths were, truly. Um, and I think I'm still in that journey today, right? Like I think a lot of us are stacking skills, and then maybe you're like 8 or 9 out of 10 in like 3 areas, but then there are other areas where you can have a decent conversation, and you kind of want to outsource that, or you want AI to do that, right? So yeah, it's been crazy. It's been the last, I think, 17, 18 years. And I think with Lyzr, I think I've been lucky enough to partner with someone who's really technical. So I think that's another thing. I realized, like, as part of this whole journey, that it's not about me. The whole business, like, it's a game at the end of the day, and it's a team sport, right? So you can't play a one-player game for too long, I think. And I tried playing the one-player game for a very long time. And as much as people talk about, oh, you can build a one-person billion-dollar company, I think in all likelihood, I see one edge case where that happened. I don't know if, Tim, you saw that as well. But you still need a lot of people like with complementing skills to come together. So yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we can delve deeper into some of these things, but some of it's also come from losing a job. I lost my job in 2015. I remember I was in the US, and losing your job kind of switches inertia completely. I remember I was in the US, and I had 30 days to find another job. I couldn't. So I had to leave the US and come back to India. And in that journey, I was like, I have 6 months of savings. Let me do 3 months South America, 2, 3 months Africa, and come back. That was the goal. But somehow 3 months in South America became 7 months. And consulting business picked up. It was great to be anonymous. So I think, like, I mean, to everybody, I think it's a great time to be uncomfortable. I think you should absolutely focus on like getting out of your house, like stop living with your parents, truly. Uh, move to a new country, like be bold. I think 20 is a great time. Plus with AI, my God, like there's so much value to be created. So yeah, that's about me.
Perfect. Thank you, Anirudh. Thank you again for being here. I'll move on to the second expert that we have today, Timothy Henize. He went from being a director of operations at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, one of the top pediatric hospitals in the entire United States, to founding the AI Handyman LLC. He now builds human-centered AI tools, intelligent workflows, and adaptive systems. And here's the part I love. I think he taught himself a lot of tools that he works with currently. So he's entirely self-directed after making the pivot. Tim, brilliant to have you here. And I'm really glad that this is a different introduction that I'm, POV to the introduction that I'm giving from our other sessions. So Tim, my question to you is, you went from managing, clinical teams to building AI products. Most people would see those as completely different worlds, right? So how did you reframe your identity when you made that shift? Take us through your journey, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to be here with both of you as well. I echo that sentiment. And Anirudh, you said so many things that I identified with. I didn't necessarily move to another country, but part of my journey was moving across the country here in the US. So that did spark a lot of immediate change because I changed my surroundings, my job, and a lot of things quickly. But yes, I worked in a pediatric hospital for almost 18 years. And so I started using AI tools on my own in order to solve real world problems. But especially in healthcare with HIPAA and privacy policies, at least in the US, and I'm sure the whole world has different privacy policies, healthcare is a little slower on the uptake. So I quickly found out that there was only going to be so much that I could solve from an AI perspective from what I was given as tools in my job there at the hospital. So I set out to find my own tools, make my own tools, and I ended up founding the AI Handyman because I wanted to help other small businesses and entrepreneurs figure out AI, especially those that weren't part of a large company and couldn't afford a tech team and lots of AI tools. So where I fit into the market, I am a solo entrepreneur currently, but it's definitely not a billion-dollar company. So I agree with you on that one too. Much less, but maybe one day once I team up with other people and grow the business, but for sure. So I do mostly consulting, and sometimes I build a website for a client with AI chatbots and tools, and then I hand it over to them. I teach them how to use it, and I might be done with that client. And some other clients might hire me for anything from 40 to 50 hours a month for 6 months to a year in order to kind of become their one-man tech team. So I help a lot of people learn and use AI tools that wouldn't otherwise be able to afford a whole tech team. So that's why I also get to learn a lot of new tools because I've taken over for people's social media accounts, creating AI generated content, videos, captions, things like that. I've built databases for aircraft listings. I've done all sorts of things because I get to meet the client, figure out what their needs are, how AI can help, and then I learn or fill in the blanks in my own personal knowledge in order to solve their problem, teach them how to do it. And then by learning it myself and then teaching it, I then have a really strong foundation to help the next person. So I just keep growing my stack and growing my stack. And I get to just pull in all of these different people in it. I work with clients from around the world, including Simplilearn. So even teaching just with Simplilearn has given me so much great experience and exposure to groups of developers that I've taught how to code AI tools to groups of more general learners that need to use it in different ways. So yes, I'm often uncomfortable. I take on projects where I'm not sure if I know everything I need to know at the beginning and I learn it, but I step into uncomfort all the time and then I add another tool to my stack and I get really good at it. And then I'm able to share that wisdom and knowledge with other people. So that's how I've become successful so far with the AI Handyman. And again, I'm just so thankful to be here and part of this conversation.
Sweet.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tim. We see that a few of you have raised your hands. Please use the chat box or the Q&A box to share anything that you want to share, or if any questions that you have for our panel, please use the Q&A box. We will unfortunately not be able to allow anyone to turn their audio on. Okay, so moving on, now that we know about our founders, let's get into their perspective on non-traditional, non-linear career paths, because the non-linear path is rarely as easy and clean in the living of it as it looks in retrospective. So let's hear the real stories, the decisions, the doubts, and the moments that changed the trajectory. Okay, so this slide puts it pretty plainly. The conventional path, degree, internship, entry-level job, couple of years of experience, and a promotion if you're lucky, and then repeat. And then we have the founder path, spot a problem, build a solution, learn from uses, pivot, grow, or restart smarter. So our experts here have most probably lived the right side of the table. Tim, Anirudh, my question to both of you, at what point in your career did you realize, okay, I'm not doing this like the rest of the folks out there? I've built a path of my own, like, and what was the point that probably challenged you the most? Maybe Tim, you could take this first, and then we could have it in.
Yeah, absolutely happy to. So I actually kind of did both of these pathways because I was in the healthcare system for 18 years. So I had a master's in healthcare administration, and I didn't necessarily do internships, but I started at entry, and it took 18 years is a long time. So it took me a long time to get from entry level to director of operations, and it plateaued quickly. So there wasn't a lot of room for me to learn new skills or grow once I got there. So about 2.5, 3 years ago, that's when I started looking into AI. And so I was able to say, hey, you know what? This got me so far, but that's not the way the world's working anymore. So when I switched over to AI and started learning more, I started with machine learning. So I learned a lot of statistics and calculus before I started to learn how to use the generative AI tools. But absolutely, I had to jump in quickly, learn new skills, figure out how they applied to the real world. I've pivoted even just with the way I market my own company, probably every 3 to 6 months, just because I realized that a different audience wants a different tool, or everybody collectively has the ability to do something better because ChatGPT 5 came out or the new version of Gemini came out. So I frequently have to kind of dump what I was working on 6 months ago and completely reimagine or re-envision what I'm doing next. And the building networks here, I think, is the one of the most important things for me on the founder path side, talking to people, because I don't know what I don't know until I talk to new people, talk to new startup founders, new teams. I have done a couple internships here and there just to kind of learn what people are talking about. I oftentimes I'll jump onto an NVIDIA conference or a Zapier conference and just figure out what tools people are using and what people are talking about. So it's something that I have to spend an hour or two every day. Hey, what's everybody talking about in the news today? Because I might care about something completely new today that I didn't even know existed. And so absolutely, it's much more interesting. I'm much happier in life, not stuck in that career pathway, which I don't think exists for a lot of people anymore, that conventional pathway.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you 100%. And I think, like with entrepreneurship, I mean, obviously it's never been a better time to like start something on your own because skills are accessible. Getting from 0 to 1 has never been more accessible. But I think, uh, like looking at Tim's experience, like he still spent 18 years, let's say, like owning that craft, right? So uh, I think the way to start off also, like these two paths, not like the founder path is for everyone. I don't think it makes sense for you to like, if you're not like caught by a bug, there's no harm in actually doing traditional stuff early on. It's a great, like, there's a lot of people that do consulting initially, banking, go hone your skills of like talking to customers, talking to clients, right? Like making good decks, getting good analytically. So I think I've seen apparently that I think the average entrepreneurial age is like 33. Most YC folks, obviously, like that apply and get in are like super young. They're in the 19 to 25 range. Um, but I think the pivot has to happen when you truly are excited about it, because this is a long game, right? Like you can't, uh, yeah, you can't be doing this because I want to make money. You'll most probably not make money initially, and then mostly you'll have an outsized outcome later, right? So, and I think a lot of people also do a lot of like identity tying. Like I think there's positive identity tying, which is good. Like, oh, I'm an athlete, and then you do all your habits and your mindset kind of like all tailors to that. But if you tie your identities to like, oh, I can't be an entrepreneur, or I'm an employee, like that can be like limiting beliefs, I think. So I think it's important to like be loose with your own identity today. Like a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm not a coder. Man, what a time to like learn how to like use Cloud Code, right? Or cursor. So uh, that's my suggestion. Like think lesser about yourself, think more about what problems you can solve for people, and think global. Like there's no limiting access to you building a great product from here, whether it's in India or any part of the world for the world, right? So um, and there's also no harm in like doing a lot of the self-esteem stuff early on in the conventional path. Chase the titles, make the money, hit like when you want to hit self-actualization, also you can go for the founder path. So because there's a lot of psychological unsafety. I don't know if that's a word either, but like you can feel like things are not stable and you have to be okay with it. So I know a lot of people. One of my friends, I think he ventured out at 39, but he built a 2-year cushion for himself before venturing out. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's not like don't feel a FOMO that you have to be an entrepreneur. I think like when you get something going as an idea, then I think you should jump.
I agree with that.
Yes,
A lot of.
yes, that's a.
I was sorry. I was.
Please.
Tim, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I agree with you completely. It is a lot of work. And I don't think I was excited about the work I was going to be doing and starting my own company until my mid 30s, exactly like you said. And so I think the traditional pathway gave me the foundation and definitely a little bit of a savings account so that I could take that leap and into entrepreneurship in my early 30s, mid 30s rather, so that I could really dive deep into it. And there are challenges and all kinds of things that you just kind of have to keep your nose down, stick to it, and keep going, keep networking, keep working, keep taking little jobs or weird jobs or interesting jobs or hard jobs, and you just keep growing and growing and growing from there.
Yeah. If I could just add one more thing, Ananya, like every age also has an advantage or a trade-off. Like we have at Lyzr, we have a lot of folks in the 20s, man, they're willing to work 80, 90 hours a week till like 4 or 5 a.m., right? Like for them, working hard is not an issue. I feel like as we get older, like I'm almost 40 now, like you still have the energy to work hard, but then you start depending more on leverage in terms of maybe your network, maybe like you're able to fundraise better. Like how do you move further as part of the tip of the arrow, I think. I've seen entrepreneurs at 50 will bring so much capital leverage that they're able to be like, hey, I have a seed of 15 million or 50 mil that like you can just off the bat get your team going and experiment for 2 years. So yeah, so nobody should feel the FOMO is what I'm getting at with the age factor as well.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Anirudh, and thank you, Tim. Again, like the point of this session and this conversation is not to say that this is the right path, this is the wrong path. It is just to try to hear successful stories from our founders' journeys, and see what can what we can learn from and what we can apply in our journeys as we go forward. Okay. I have a poll here. We would love to know, more from our audiences. What is actually holding you back from, say, a non-traditional path? I have a few entries that have come in the Q&A, and all of you are telling me what you're currently doing, what you're currently pursuing, but there is not really a hint of what you want to do, what you want to be or build. So please, let us know about that as well, so that we can probably try to understand the whole picture and give you our insights. Okay, so let us know your answers in the chat. What is holding you back from a non-traditional path? A is a fear of failure or judgment. B is a financial risk. C, no network. D, no clear idea yet. Or E is a family or social pressure. Even if you have not even considered a non-traditional career path, let us know about that as well. We'd like to know where everyone is coming from. Okay, you can use the Q&A box or the chat box. I'll leave a few seconds for everyone to drop in their answers. Meanwhile, we can have, okay, we have someone saying D. Okay, not a clear idea yet. Couple of you are saying B, that it's about, financial concerns, lack of network. Okay. Okay, so anyway, what we're trying to address, are very, very real, very raw feelings and states of mind and emotions. So I don't think it would be fair to have a slide or a content here, to offer solutions for this. We just want to try to make sure that our conversation addresses and eases some of these concerns. So my question to the experts is, have you faced any of these barriers in your career, and what helped you move past it? Maybe Anirudh, you could come in first, and then Tim, we can have you.
Yeah. I think the idea or opportunity, I think it also sometimes takes time to figure. So you have to be okay with like experimenting over the next 3 to 6 months. I know entrepreneurs. There's a friend of mine. She started something called GrowFit. She raised 10 mil, and it was in the keto space. So one of the things that she did well was like, hey, there's this health revolution that's happening in India. I want to create products which are very like protein keto first. And one of the things that she said was, I wish I had just spent 6 months creating a brand and creating distribution, just putting content out and then interacting with the people and like trying to figure out what idea to pursue. Right. So I think all of these we end up feeling at some point in time or the other. Obviously, like there's always going to be financial risk at any point in time. Even now, at 22, but like you can afford to lose a lot more. I feel like in the initial years of your career, so like you have the energy to restart a lot, which I think is great. Lack of network, I think the network trickles once you have the idea. I think you can figure out the network as well. Family social pressure you should just ignore, I think, end to end. Unless you're married, then that's harder, I think. But and then obviously fear of failure, judgment, like nobody cares about us. Absolutely. So yeah, all of us have gone through that, and I think I was thinking about this maybe as a side piece is like it actually just comes down to like there are three companies that I worked with. One was Rocket Internet, one was Lean Startup Machine, the other one was Crossover. They were all founders. When I was in my 20s, I worked with them. They were always younger than me, but they had great energy. They were super passionate about their idea. Rocket Internet was a German founder. His name was Leonard Steigler. I was 26, he was 23. This must have been 2012. And he was doing the fashion e-commerce equivalent of Jabong in Nigeria. And then Vasu started Crossover, super passionate about basketball. So sometimes it's also like taking a leap of faith with like somebody that's very clear of an idea. And then you're kind of like partnering with them. So that also works.
Tim,
Yeah.
if you could share your take on this. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I saw a lot of D's here for no clear idea or opportunity yet, and so I've definitely felt that for quite some time. Sometimes I still feel like that because I feel like maybe what I'm offering to people, all of a sudden I'll have a month where nobody seems to care about that anymore. But what I did at the beginning, especially, I took little internships or coding jobs that I found through LinkedIn, and I started just participating. And so I figured out, okay, this company or this product is in the AI realm. I like to work with AI, but it's a little too salesy for me. I'm not necessarily trying to sell this specific product or something. So I had to just jump in and work. I did some open source projects as well, where a lot of things you can find on GitHub and things like that, where you can just start teaming up with people that have really good ideas. And sometimes those really good ideas are really, really strange. And you might even think like, I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. But then hearing somebody else talk about it and how they're going to format their pathway to success, you're like, oh, okay, like I understand what they're going for here. So I just literally took so many different opportunities. I just sat in different meetings with different rooms and different teams until I started to figure out my niche specifically for the AI handyman. I realized that ordinary small business owners don't have access to large tech teams and things like that. But it took me a long time to figure out that's where I could come in handy. I'm really good at teaching people. I'm really good at making complex AI concepts a little more clear for people that don't have a lot of tech backgrounds. So I'm really good at translating technical AI jargon into small business owner and operator worlds, whether that be an online business or an actual retail store somewhere near me. But I had to just start talking to people and doing it and being uncomfortable. And that might have even been on LinkedIn. Sometimes I'd make a post about how to upgrade your resume with AI. And it seemed kind of rudimentary and it seemed like nobody cared. But then people start commenting and then it leads to side conversations. And then people start telling you about projects they're working about that has nothing to do with resumes. But I just had to start putting myself out there, whether a lot of it came from social media content. I was basically like, I don't know what people need me to do for them completely yet, but I'm going to just start talking about it. I'm going to start giving people practical AI tips. And then in the comments, people start telling you what they're looking for, what they're missing in their life, how they wish they could use AI. And so essentially, I just had to keep making myself uncomfortable and talking to new people and about new projects. And then that idea slowly got more and more and more clear. And I think especially with the fear of failure or judgment, you have to stop caring about that. Every time you come into a room where somebody wants you to talk about AI or help solve their problem, I wonder, am I going to be able to solve their problem? Am I going to sound stupid if they know more than I do? You have to just get over that. And it comes with time. The more times you do it, whether it's teaching somebody a new skill or just getting in front of a room and talking about AI ethics or how it's resource usage with AI, you just start talking about it and you pretty quickly realize that there are experts in certain realms of AI, just like any other realm, but not everybody necessarily has the same clear picture or roadmap that you do. So you still are bringing something to the table, whether it's your ideas or just your energy. So you are valuable to the conversation, even if you feel like you might fail or you might be judged for your opinions or your ideas. You got to just jump in there and start sharing those ideas and those opinions.
100%.
Right. Hmm. Okay, so I think like we are halfway through the session and we already have like a lot of insights from both of them. So what we're going to attempt in this segment is try to put like a little structure into what you into the guidance that we want to give, and extract the patterns, because we what we're trying to say is not, we're not trying to say go quit your job and start a company. The goal here is to understand what worked for these successful founders, what they bet on, and whether those bets are transferable for everyone out here. Okay. So number one point that we have here is bet on a skill before everyone catches up. The idea is simple. The market always lags skill demand. So if you can see what's coming and build the skill before it becomes obvious to everyone, you are already ahead. Tim, my question for you. So you started learning AI development while still in your healthcare role. So how did you, sort of identify which specific skill to focus on, and how do you go about balancing a full-time job and learning on the side?
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I was still in the healthcare world, there weren't a lot of options, period. There's a lot, I think note-taking applications for AI was kind of the first thing we were allowed to use, where essentially you could use AI to summarize your meeting, but not if you were talking about patient health information or things like that. So I first started, I actually learned Python as a coding language first, because in my head, I was like, well, if the product I'm looking for to help me engage with my healthcare operations work doesn't exist, then I'm going to have to build it myself. So I started learning Python, and then I started learning machine learning and more about the actual calculus statistics, almost how to build the next chat GPT. And then things quickly grew from there to where now we're using more generative AI tools. We're not focused on us as a population, a global population. We're not trying to outpace ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those tools. So within the healthcare world, it definitely started because I was like, I don't have the tools that I need. They don't exist. I'm going to have to learn how to build them. So I just started learning coding first and machine learning. And that's where I started finding out like, okay, well, it took me a while, 6 months to a year to be like, okay, well, there are already a lot of generative AI tools that exist. And so then I switched my focus over to connecting AI tools, creating pipelines and workflows and things like that. But essentially, I was in the healthcare world, said, the thing I'm looking for doesn't exist, so I'm going to have to learn how to program so that I can build it.
Agreed.
Perfect. Anirudh, my question for you is, you moved into AI full time after Master Life, I believe. So, what were the signals that that told you that this was a way worth catching, and how do we see those identifications?
I mean, ChatGPT came on November 2022. I remember pretty clearly. And I think it helps to be curious. I just started playing around with it. And then I was very bullish on it because I just felt like obviously where technology's caught up today in the last 3 years is fascinating. But I remember at that point itself in 2022, I was like, man, how do you automate social? How do you create case studies? I was trying to like play around with it quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, see, pattern recognition and being curious. I don't know. I mean, I would like to say that's a skill that you can pick up. And I think the way you pick up that skill is sometimes also about like following the right people. Um, like for an hour or so, I'll just give you some context with Lyzr. So Shiva, who started the company, one of the things that he does really well is like he like literally like 150 people that he follows on Twitter. And it's like as soon as he sees that, oh, how does that apply to us, given that we're trying to serve enterprises? So a lot about privacy and security. We're trying to build agents for them. And a lot of it just comes down to we passing it on to the team and be like, hey, what do you think? So there's some discussion around it. And then from there it is, hey, this looks interesting. Can we build something out? Once we build something out, talk to the world, put it out, see how they respond. And if it fails, it fails. But at least like the loop of I gathered information, I built something out, I taught the world, and or I told the world about it. And then there's the loop of either users or revenue. I think that's one thing to go after. But like I feel like patterns also becoming very clear. Like OpenClaw came out a month back, or actually maybe a couple of months back, and one of the biggest, I think, turnarounds of OpenClaw was, first of all, it felt like humans were beta and agents were alpha. Like it felt like agents were making the decisions and then telling you next steps. Versus with ChatGPT, a lot of it felt like you went first and you asked AI to do something. So I think that was one. Second is it was multimodal. It could just do a bunch of things on your local system. So that became really hard. Like in 2 weeks, 43,000 GitHub stars. Then you're like, okay, people are using OpenClaw. How do I use that technology internally? So we built something called GitClaw, which is like OpenClaw but for enterprise with all the guardrails, right? Because you don't know what's happening on the agent level, which is a black box. So we built traceability. We built like, each of these agents could be imported as a Git. So I mean, I'm getting a little technical here, but at the core of it, I think identifying patterns, it can be very top down. I think it'll come down to how you want to use
it. Okay. Okay, thank you for your insight. So we moving on. The point number 2 that we have here is that bet on a community over a company. So when you bet on a company, your network resets every time that you leave or get let go. When you bet on a community, on people, mentors, relationships, that travels with you and it compounds over time. Quick, insight from the Gen Z's playbook here. The average tenure in a company that a Gen Z has is just 1.1 years in their first 5 years. So that's, pretty much like intentional networking, intentional diversification of their experience, whether people realize it or not. So my question here is, Tim, Anirudh, like, what is your take on this? Do you have any one person or like, a collaborator, someone in your community or like a mentor that, whose guidance that you take would change the trajectory of your career? How important is it to build that network and build such relationships? Anirudh, maybe we can have you coming in first and then.
Yeah. I mean, you brought up 2, 3 points in there, Ananya. I feel like, when you talk about Gen Z, we have a lot of folks in our team who are between 21 to 27. Okay. And like our social is done completely by Gen Z. I think it's a company, I think it's maybe the company's fault if Gen Zs are quitting in a year or less than a year, because suddenly there is this movement now where you can make money on your own brand and you can build distribution being an influencer. And then once you do that, once you build distribution, you can create products around it. That's very promising, as much as like it's a small percentage that's doing that. But they want to do multiple things. They are multi-potential. They also have a strong pulse on the ground. So I think companies have to figure out, how do you bring that energy? How do you bring that kind of skill set into the company? But I think to your point, Ananya, in terms of betting on a company, betting on community, like, I mean, sure, your network can also be built being at a company. As long as you have to also be smart about thinking of company, like working for a company is being like, corporate is ruthless. I mean, that the way to think about today, especially the AI, like corporate is ruthless. Like, you could be at Oracle for 10 years and then like, oh, they've got 30,000 jobs and you're done. Like, so you have to start thinking of companies as platforms. Like, how do I maximize the juice out of this platform? Right? You can build your personal, like this, imagine you're at OpenAI, okay, or imagine you're at AWS and you're there for 2 years. Who's saying like you can't put out content and like connect with everybody at AWS, right? So you should, I feel like in parallel, keep building your brand, irrespective whether you're in the company or not. And community can come from both places. So that's what I would leave it at.
Yeah, I would strongly agree with both of those. I think I built my community when I was still betting on a community, or I'm sorry, I was betting on a company for sure when I worked in my healthcare job for 18 years, but especially the last 5 or so, I was meeting people and building a community that wasn't necessarily tied to just that one job anymore. And so now I benefit from that because I have a large social media community, a lot of people still from my previous role at the hospital that now know that I moved over to AI. I offer AI solutions for small businesses. So when people have side ideas pop up, if they want to start a side business or switch jobs themselves, then they reach out to me because they're part of that community, even though I'm no longer tied to that company. So absolutely, I still I get random people reaching out to me that I may not have spoken to for a year, but a year ago we had a really interesting topic or a really interesting conversation about AI, and they remembered that I was connected, so they came back and found me. So I think I absolutely started my community while I was still betting on a company, but I now do feel like just that networking component is where I get the most value. And so just not necessarily limiting myself to that company. I think I gained a lot from being in a company for so long. But I think I had to switch my own mindset that I wasn't limited by betting on that company. And I was able to take a lot of those connections and learnings and findings with me when I moved on from that part of my life.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tim. So the number third point that we have here is probably the most important one. Bet on yourself, especially when no one else will. Tim, we have excerpts from your journey here. You took a major pivot in your career. So what would you give as guidance to those who are hesitating to make that start, to make that transition?
Yeah, absolutely. So To be quite honest, when I was working in healthcare, I was so burnt out that it started because I told myself, I want to learn how to code and hide in a basement and not talk to anybody anymore. So I'm going to learn how to code. I'm going to learn how to code Python. I'm going to build software and I'm just going to hide from the world. And that worked for maybe a year or so. So while I was still at the hospital, I started taking courses here and there, various online courses to teach myself Python at first, and then different web development tools from there. But essentially, once I figured out that, okay, like I can get this, I can understand this, I can see where my value is going to come, even if it's 1 to 2 years down the road, that's when I was like actually willing to start making plans to leave that 18-year career and give myself permission. So no one was giving me permission. My family absolutely did not want me to leave my 18-year job at Children's Hospital and switch completely, go back to school for anything. So I had to give myself permission. No one was going to give me permission. So I just started learning, starting to figure out what I thought was interesting. I even like bought a little kit with an old-fashioned breadboard where I was hooking in wires and learning how computers worked at their core without even just the programming. I was buying little kits here and there just to start learning. I got interested. I was excited again. I was like, you know what? I didn't realize that I wasn't learning new skills and enriching my brain and my life. So I had to give myself that permission. And then, do you want me to talk about the other two or just start there with the permission one?
Anything fine.
Oh,
Anything is fine too.
oh, I see now that other one. Yeah. Yeah. No, Anirudh, I'll pass it to you for the building in public because I have not done that nearly as much.
Yeah. Anything specifically you want me to cover under this, Ananya?
Yeah, so I think like your journey has quite a trajectory. So how do you sort of recognize and make peace with something that's not working? So how do you steer your career journey from that?
Mm-hmm. So I would say actually Master Life is a good example. So Masterclass had come out in 2015, which is very like celebrity-led learning. So I was trying to take a spin on that and create something called Master Life in India. But that was, imagine it is for you to have balance in your life. These are these 8 areas, and then you take an assessment and tells you which area you need help. And then from there is experts, psychologists, executive coaches that have created exclusive content for Master Life to help you kind of improvise on that skill. I remember this is 2019 to 2021 almost. And as much as I think, I mean, we raised around, I think we created a lot of good content. Uh, I just, the market was too small. And we hit a point where I was like, man, do I need to expand? Do I want to do? And the other mistake that I feel like I made there was like, I was doing it alone. Like we were a team of 15, but I was a solo founder. And I would, every time I had to deal with some form of failure, like I would curl up in my bed and just like sleep and sleep like a good 12 hours if I could. So, but that's how I dealt with it. But I think in all of that, again, maybe I'm maybe better at it today. Because it's like so important, like not take yourself so seriously as well, right? I know people that take this as, I mean, we control everything that we can from an input standpoint. Output we leave to how the world responds to it. So I think it was that, but again, not like this lull of, oh, this didn't work, I'm going to sit for 6 months and like retrospect or introspect on like why that didn't happen. Like, let's get on with our life, right? Like, let's move on. What's the next thing we can go after? So I think it's maybe that. Um, Building in public also, like I honestly don't think so much about what my next LinkedIn post is going to be. I was talking to one of the founders. He's like, he's finding it hard to like put stuff out on LinkedIn. And I was like, man, nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about us. We'll be dead and gone in like 40 years, hopefully. And yeah, you should just be bold, as bold as possible. And if you don't feel bold, then just surround yourself with like 4 or 5 bold people. I think that also helps. Right.
I agree.
Great, amazing. Thank you. Okay. So this segment is where we're going to move from these stories to strategy, because here's the thing: every insight our guests have shared is only useful if you know what to do with it. So let's talk a little bit about building career capital, the right skills at the right time in 2026 and beyond. And here's where I'm going to introduce Simplilearn's programs also a bit more in detail. So I'm going to take the lead through this next segment, Anirudh and Tim, but feel free to react, add to anything, disagree. We'll keep this conversation going as much as possible. Okay, so here's a almost like a paradox that I find genuinely fascinating. The same AI revolution that's shrinking traditional entry-level roles is simultaneously also creating massive demand for people who can work with AI tools, analyze data, manage cloud infrastructure, and build digital products. 30% surge there's been in entry-level jobs requiring AI skills in 2026. Many of our own learners report a career benefit, a promotion, or a new job after upskilling. And people who upskill report career pivots that happen 4 times faster than those who don't. So at Simplilearn, we've built programs around exactly this idea. We have generative AI, machine learning, data science, cloud computing, cybersecurity, product and design, software development, project management, all of it role-based, skill-focused, and industry-recognized. We have training programs for certifications like PMP, CSM, ITIL, Six Sigma, CEH, and a lot more. We also have postgraduate programs and certificate courses for those who want to upskill and stay relevant. And at the same time, we also have executive programs for senior leaders and experienced professionals. The programs vary in length from 2 days to 2 weeks to 6 months to 11 months. The program fee also varies, ranging from 10,999 rupees or $699 for, say, a PMP certification training to 1,49,999 to $2,000 999 for our applied AI programs. I'm actually giving like a very vague range here. You can explore all the details about our programs in the links that I'm going to share in the chat right now. Yes. So whether you're making your first move into tech, pivoting mid-career, or going deeper in a field that you're already in, there is a path designed for you. And let us also tell you that this learning environment is built keeping working professionals in mind. You have different cohorts giving you weekday and weekend options. You can choose based on what fits your schedule. You will always have access to recordings of the classes in case you miss any session, and you will have an active peer community of professionals and experts that you can network with. And beyond the learning itself, Simplilearn also supports you with the career side, technical capability assessments to sort of sharpen your core skills, interview prep and mock assessments, AI-powered optimization of your resume and LinkedIn profile, and hand-picked job opportunities matched to your goals. So this is pretty much the full picture. Okay, so that's about it. This is the moment I think we've been building towards. We have the segment where we're going to do a live career audit. The idea here is that we didn't want to stop with just giving generic guidance. We want to give you like personalized advice as well to whatever extent possible. We've received multiple entries, and since we asked you to make entries at the beginning of the session, so for want of time, we will be able to take only one or maximum two journeys today, but I'm sure our experts' guidance will be insightful to everyone. So let me start with one for Anirudh. If you can take this, it'll be great. This is from Ibrahim Denise from New Jersey. I'm going to read his journey. After my MSc in data science from Pace University, I struggled to get interviews despite being overqualified. I was constantly rejected or ghosted by AI hiring systems. This led me to research the problem and publish a paper in January 2026, where I introduced artificial fictional unemployment. From that research, I built Job OS, an AI career operating system that helps job seekers optimize resumes semantically, autofill ATS applications smartly, and track their pipeline. We focus on quality over mass auto-applying. Still very early stage, but this first test on my own resume got me an interview invite. I would love any advice from the speakers and fellow founders on early user acquisition and building in public.
I mean, first of all, kudos to you for flipping the script completely, right? You built something and then and that's the game today. Like the people want to see, they don't want to see your resume, they want to see what you've built, how you can create value for the company, right? Like, and I think from a company perspective, you get 100 to 200 resumes in, but I know people that have gotten in have been like, here's a video that I made. Here they've messaged the founders, they've messaged a bunch of people. It's like triangulate and be like, oh, 4 or 5 people got my attention. Who's this person? Let's talk to him or her, right? So I think kudos to you. I think in terms of advice on user acquisition, I mean, one, you want to be very clear on who's your persona. Like you should almost want to find what's their facts, pain, behavior, goals, where do they hang out online, offline, look at their LinkedIn profile, use Claude and figure, okay, like, can you reverse engineer what persona looks like? Use a lot of Claude actually for your thinking. I mean, outstanding today to use Claude. So once you have that, you will realize very quickly there is marketing today is a lot around doing hygiene, heavy lifting, and then there is other experiments that can give you virality. So if you kind of combine the two from a user acquisition standpoint, that might be interesting. Most probably, it depends on your product. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name, but like, if you want to get your first 10, 50 customers, it will mostly come from your network or your first degree. You don't have to go that far to get your first few customers. But if you have a B2B agentic SaaS kind of product, today you want to do 2-week sprints. What I've learned is at Lyzr, we have released at least, I would say, 15 products over the last 24 months. And we release them like almost like thunderclap style, which is how do you get everyone to push it out simultaneously at the same time to get the amplified effect? So I'd get like, oh, how do I get 25? I don't know the first few things, like how do we get 50 people from our network to push it out? How do we get everyone in the company to push it out at the same time? Can we do a product hunt launch? Can we run ads at the same time? So it's all like a 2-week movie sprint. And then you launch the product. Maybe you do the product more as like sign up for waitlist. And then you slowly trickle them into your product, right? Have as many user interviews. And then from there, and once you're very clear on, okay, you've achieved product market fit, that's when I think you can do a lot of the scale stuff. Positioning is fundamentally an issue. I've seen a lot of companies and entrepreneurs also like, oh, there's a product that they built. I'm going to build something similar. You want to really get novel around positioning, and that's a hard one to do. Objectively, I've tried to help a lot of founders with positioning, but again, you can use Claude. You could prototype so much of this using Lovable and Replit as well today, which is like, you put out the positioning, create a video, see how whether people sign up, and then see how they respond to your product, right? So yeah. So if I had to summarize, persona, facts, pain, behavior goals, where do you find them online, offline? Second is talk to as many people. Most folks will come from your immediate network or your ancillary network. Prototype as many things out, put it on LinkedIn, and then the fourth one is thunderclap, I would say.
Thank you so much, Anirudh, and thank you, Ibrahim, for sharing us your journey. We wish you, the best of luck on your way forward. Give us a thumbs up if your question came in like much earlier in the session. So I hope you got something meaningful out of this. Tim, great, thank you, Ibrahim. Tim, question for you. I know we have reached the end of the webinar, but maybe we can just take this one journey, and then we can look into wrapping up. Okay, this question is in 2 parts, so allow me a little bit of time to navigate that. So this is from Prakash. He is currently in Japan working as a mechanical engineer since 2023. He studied in Bangalore. He did a mechanical engineering degree in Bangalore, India. So he is wanting to build a service-related product in the near future for developing countries like Nepal. What could be the best insight on it? He is seeking the best team who has worked who has worked on similar service-related products in any part of the world. So I think he's seeking a pretty generic, advice. But I'll leave it up to you. You can give him any guidance that you want to share, or maybe specifically about picking the right team, because he's looking for the team to get started with and learn from. So anything that you would like to share would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak to that because as my business, I am my product. So I sell my expertise. I help people make connections so that they don't feel left behind as the AI revolution continues forward. So my bread and butter comes from talking to people. And so in the near future, I would like to start adding employees and growing as well. And I will say that even a year ago, I was hoping that when I started this company, I would be able to maybe hire my nephews or something that were coming up through college learning about software development and coding and AI and generative AI. But I wouldn't necessarily do that anymore. So the projects I have worked on, whether it's somebody that is an expert in AI or an expert in marketing, I have met so many different people working on so many different projects. Some of those projects I wasn't getting paid to do. I was more of just a collaborator on those projects, but I've met so many intelligent, crazy smart people from all over the world that had skills that I didn't even know I was looking for until we worked on a project together. And maybe it was an open source project and it wasn't necessarily getting a whole platform together or a whole product launch or anything like that. But I have met so many people that are so passionate about what they're interested in and what they're talking about. So whether it's fitness or engineering or AI or building actual software, what I do is I personally look for people that are very passionate and very enthusiastic. And the way I find those people is to spread my net as far as I can. LinkedIn, TikTok, social media, other social media platforms, and I'm willing to just sit down and have a conversation. The way my business works is I offer everybody a 45-minute discovery call, and I would say maybe I get paid work from those discovery calls 10% of the time. But almost 100% of those discovery calls, I meet somebody really interesting, whether it is a interior designer looking for ways to incorporate AI into their process. And then I learn about new people and people that are amazing in their different realms that I wouldn't have even considered. And that's just because I took 45 minutes to talk to that person, figure out, hey, what do you know? What do I know? So I know that's kind of maybe a little bit too generic because I personally haven't built a product from the ground up and then pushed that product. But what I do professionally all day, every day is talk to people, meet people, and what I did in my healthcare career was lead teams. I was a director over several supervisors, and I'm I got to work with those people, learn about those people, learn their strengths, but I only figured out who those people were and what they were so good at by talking to them, spending time, whether that's virtually or more in an official work capacity, but just talking to people and spreading my net as wide as I can on social media globally and locally when possible, and meeting all these great minds. There are a lot of people who want to change the world and help humanity advance through AI. Just the Artemis mission to the moon recently has reinvigorated my whole outlook on how hopefully humanity can work together. So I would just say, get out there, talk to people, find people, work in open source projects. And even if it's not necessarily the exact employee that you're looking for or the exact role that you're looking to fill, you're going to find amazing people. Just, you got to start talking to people, finding people, reading their papers, reading their posts, interacting with them virtually and things like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tim. I hope that answers your question, Prakash. What you're seeking to build is really great for developing countries. So we wish you the best of luck. Thank you for being here and sharing your journey. So yes, for want of time, we are able to take only a couple of these journeys. We will not be able to cover them all, but yes, like I said, I hope that everyone got some takeaway from the guidance and insights that our experts have shared. So before we close, I want to leave everyone with something very concrete, which are 3 things that you can do this coming week. Firstly is analyze and introspect one assumption behind your current career path. Ask yourself, who decided this was the right step, and does it still hold? Secondly, reach out to one person, at least one person whose career you admire, with a real question, seeking guidance, and not just like a connection request. This is how you will start building your network. And thirdly, identify one skill in the market that you will need next, and take the first step towards learning it. Even if it is just like 1 hour per week, it's a start. So with that, I'm going to launch a quick poll to take any interest in enrolling in our programs. Just give me a second. Okay, so all you have to do is click vote on yes or no. Even if you're just curious about what might be right for you, or if today has sparked something, we'd love to help you take the next step. Please click on yes or no in the poll that is live right now. We will reach out to you personally to help you find your best fit learning opportunity and guide you further. While that poll is on, I would love to hear from Anirudh. Any final remarks, like any final guidance or like advice to our learners, to our participants? Closing remarks, please.
I would say if you can, no matter what, block it on your calendar for block like 45 minutes to an hour every day on your calendar to just focus on upskilling. Especially with AI, like you see something that's trending, go check out the product, play around with it. Maybe we will pick up a skill and then it'll stack over the next 3 to 6 months. Because most of your learning today is going to come from what you're seeing in the market. And things are changing very quickly. Like I'm sure you create a course today, 6 months from now, you'll have to like revamp the course and have something new completely. So that's my suggestion. Like, don't wait for anyone to come and teach you things. Like, what if you could flip and become the teacher yourself, right? So that's what I'll leave it at.
Thank you. Tim, what about you?
I agree with that 100%. So I guess my closing words would be try not to get overwhelmed. There's a lot of AI tools, a lot of AI just media, period. So spending time looking at it every day, you'll start to notice patterns in the trends with the AI tools. So it's more about learning how to evaluate AI tools and processes as opposed to getting really good at one specific tool that might not be the best tool in a month to 3 months. So try not to get overwhelmed. Just get into it, start researching, start looking, start reading articles, start reading social media posts, and be willing to adapt to change quickly. So problem solving, I think, is the skill that people need to learn most, as opposed to one specific AI tool or one specific AI platform. And you got to do that just by practicing, learning, and reading, but be open to change the whole time.
Great. Thank you so much, Tim. And yes, with those wise words, I will end the poll as well. Anirudh and Tim, if you want to take your leave, you can. I'm just going to have one more segment where I launch a poll to take entries for certificates for those of them who want. So thank you so much for being here and to share, and for sharing all your insights and your journeys. It's been truly, honestly, one of the most enriching conversations I've had since I've been doing webinars with Simplilearn. So thank you so much for everything.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you as well.
Yeah, good to see both of you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Great. Okay. With that, if you want your certificate of participation, enter your full name in the poll that I'm going to launch just now. We will be generating the certificate and sharing with you in the next 48 working hours. Thank you so much, everyone, for being present and engaged throughout. It genuinely did make a difference, and we apologize for all the questions that we were not able to get to. We will try to get back to you personally over email or through our experts. Yeah, I'm gonna have that live for a little bit more. And yes, so we have come to the end of the session. This was genuinely one of the conversations that leaves you thinking differently. Kudos to our experts, to our panel for being so open and honest with this audience. I know a lot of people in this room are going to make, different decisions because of what they shared today. For everyone watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, and here, thank you once again. So if you want to reach out to the Simplilearn team, you've got emails on the screen. We would love to hear from you. If you have any feedback to share, if you have any questions for us further, please do write to us at webinars@simplilearn.net. In case if you're not able to access this poll for certificates, it might be because you're joining it from your phone, or if you don't have the app, if you're not logged in, you might not be able to access the poll. In that case, please do drop us a note at webinars@simplilearn.net. We will be able to generate and share the certificate with you. Take care, everyone, and let's go make like one unconventional move this week. Thank you.